looking for a pleasure that will blow your mind? Do you want to be in the middle of the action? Then Danza 2 is made for you. Excellent physical sensations and neuro coordination. Stunning thermo-stim. Loading times down to less than 6 seconds. Comes with 2 €700 memory chips and encryptable slivers. Share your experience with 7 other Danzas simultaneously. Full color simulations guaranteed. Danza 2, perfect future created by Braindance Incorporated. Order yours now from your nearest data term.
The night is cold and uninviting. There's nothing doing in the co-op, so you decide the bar scene might be where things are happening. You slide into your Kevlar overcoat and hit the streets in search of action. But after 6 bars and €40 later, you realize it just isn't there. You need something new, but where are you going to find it on a night like this, Chumba? You lean forward and you look around in the bar, and then you see it. Sitting on the counter is a black box that had been concealed by trashed out Solo, who is passed out next to it. All of a sudden you feel a small tingle in your brain, so you check it out on a curiosity. It looks like a box with the 2 interface jacks coming out of it, plus a slot for a card at the top. You know what it is, your mind knows it, it's the dance.
Sensory processor activated. Video link confirmed.
The alternative reality process, or a braindance as it is more popularly known today, is like no other experience you've experienced before, Chumba. A beating can be made to feel like a Swedish massage, or an orgasm like an H-bomb explosion. All this is possible because you can stream braindance directly into your neural system via a special brain augmentation called Braindance Player, or a BD Player. It will allow you to experience all brain process registered, including emotions, muscle movements, and all stimuli perceived by a recording person. Just think of the possibilities, Chumba. It was invented by Yuriko Sugimoto in 2007 when she managed to record her thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations into standard information chip using extrapolated Moss equation, the basis for neural response translation, and the Netrunner interface. The chip was then plugged into modified cyber modem, and she was able to experience what she had recorded in exact detail, and that was just the beginning. While she was working for the state of California as a researcher in a penal reform, she met Norman Lasimere, a noted penal psychologist, and she realized the implications of her discoveries and what it was and what it meant for the penal reform. What they realized was that the braindance could be used to recondition prisoners. What they proposed was to create a nightmare-like situation in which the offending subject would be placed into, and the sought-after aversion would come from the offenders experiencing repeated instances of their crime being foiled, and they would expose severe harm to the criminal in the attempt. After much experimentation in which the 3 inmates who had volunteered for the project were rendered brain dead by the machine's dysfunction, the braindance was introduced into San Quentin Correctional Facility. With first inmate to undergo the treatment, Gerald Weisenheimer, who spent 9 hours a day for a week living inside the braindance, being a success. This was enough for Sugimoto and Lasimere to receive much needed funding in 2009. As a result of this, they decided to create their own corporation, Braindance Incorporated. Soon after the formation of Braindance Incorporated, Militech, who had been independently producing its own military simulator, announced a joint venture with Diverse Media Systems and Braindance Incorporated, with main goal being to investigate the market value of braindance as an entertainment form. The first ever publicly accessible braindance was released 7 months later after that. Since all kind of emotions and stimuli can be achieved from the comfort of an armchair for a reasonable price, the Braindance has become the most popular form of mass entertainment in today's society, Chumba. What you should know is that the Braindance recordings are often performed by professional actors known as braindancers. There is no detailed plan. This is mainly because the recording sessions must be spontaneous enough to excite the artist so that the motion carries over well. To keep the spontaneous feel, the braindancer is usually not shown the full script, rather, he is given guidelines to keep him within the storyline. There are no pre-planned dialogues or concrete staging instructions. If something unplanned should interfere with the session, the motto is never stop recording, the show must go on. This is why the most memorable scenes happen completely by accident. Although the two primary functions of what the Braindance fulfills, those of entertainment and re-education in the penal system, there are other uses for it. One, which was previously mentioned, was the use of Braindance as a simulator. What you can do, Chumba, is save some Eurobucks if you subject your beavers and movers to some fun education sessions. What it means is that by collecting large enough databases, a company could actually train new employees by shunting them right directly into the Braindance for training. Although their bodies would need to adjust to the skill, the person would already have the knowledge of how certain functions are being performed without the waste of manpower to supervise the training. Furthermore, psychologists are talking about the possibilities of therapy via Braindance for rehabilitation, and trauma centers are suggesting that BD could be used in place of drugs for anesthesia, therefore reducing danger to patients. Lastly, the space industry has already requested extremely long Braindance tapes to be made for the next long-range mission to Mars, with some of them being dropped off at the Crystal Palace. As with most forms of mass-market entertainment, there is a problem with illegal duplications of the Braindance chips. There are many dangers in purchasing these illegal chips. You see, Chumba, although the mass-produced chips are carefully screened for acts which may cause disruption of person's mental and bodily functions, and those which are not suitable some are labelled with warning, home-produced Braindances are not under any such jurisdiction. What this has done is that it has led to production of variety legal tapes in which the recording contains the death of a dancer. The bodily shock of a dying, even when in recording form, is enough to stop the heart of the viewer. There are also reports of sadomasochistic acts which usually result in the death of the subject. Needless to say, these are not mass-marketed chips, and BD recording industry does not condone such acts, and neither should you, Chumba. Like with anything that gives euphoria, braindancing can be addictive. Therefore, Chumba, don't exceed the daily recommended jack-in times, otherwise, before you know it, you will end up like any other brain potato. Someone who will want to forget the reality and never leave the comforts of the dance. But maybe that ain't such a bad thing. Another, much more dangerous side of braindance is that of subliminal suggestions. When the braindance became available to the public, there have been rumors that personalities were being altered or even overridden by the braindance. It was soon discovered that there were several black market chips that were doing just that. The person would jack into the program and find themselves as Netrunner, just as his personality gets overwritten by the Lich program. The Lich programming was strong enough to actually overwrite the person, even though they were receiving the programming from a source other than the net. Braindance crime is on the rise, Chumba, and you are nothing in the eyes of corporations. If they need information from you, or your memory needs to be wiped or rewritten, then nothing will stop them. Heed my words when I say to be careful with what chips you're plugging your brains into. In the dark future, who knows what is real these days. If like most everyone these days you think life revolves around braindancing, you're a chump, Chumba. I say, suit up, hit the town, dial a girl, get hammered and trash the bar. Go all the way on the edge. If you want, you can spend this evening exactly the way you spent the last few. Go ahead, get naked, sit back in your armchair, fire up another BD and drool on your experience of some worn out porn star who's been woo-wooed inside out. I, on the other hand, am pulling the plug and heading out to the brawl for a tango and taste some real life. There'll be real booze, real hotties, and lots of real harmful substance with complicated chemical formulas. Or will there?